Hello, welcome to Who's On Next, the podcast where we only talk about one thing, and I don't know what that is yet. Today I have with me a man who's known for his streaming, his video game review series, Pixelated Memories. It is Elliot Law, aka MegaGWolf.
Hello.
And how are you doing today?
I'm doing okay, despite the fact that I'm pretty sure your message to me kind of woke me up from a nap. So otherwise, doing good.
I didn't mean to do that. I was just.
Well, I mean, I'm glad you did. Otherwise, I might have still been asleep. I feel bad, but I'm here, so it worked out in the end.
Okay, good. I don't know what if I don't. The worst thing that could happen would be somebody being in a bad mood when I've interviewed them, and I don't think I've had that yet. At least not that they told me.
Oh
So
yeah.
maybe there was like one interview like years ago I did, and they were just in a shit mood, and I just didn't know about it at the time. Because I've had people who aren't talkative, so I don't know if that's just indicative if they were in a not good mood or what. But
Yeah.
yeah, that nature. So I guess just get this started. What is it that got you interested in making content online?
Boredom and loneliness, if I'm going to be completely honest. It was one of those scenarios in which I was unemployed. I didn't have a whole lot to do because I had found the wonderful world of free to play MMOs. And it was one time when I'd made a group of friends and I had a falling out and I had nothing else to do. So randomly, I was browsing the internet. I think I was trying to find something in terms of like to entertain myself, like a ROM for a game of some kind. And instead of the ROM, I found a random video called a Let's Play. Never seen something like that before.
Mm.
The rest was history. From there, I went into a spiral and finding other people and then wanting to do it myself to try and find like-minded people with similar interests and make friends with people. And man, I never thought it would come to this. So
Have you ever? I remember like years ago I tried to do a let's play and I couldn't do it. It's I don't know, it's kind of hard for me, or at least it's, and I've heard some people say it's hard to be engaging when you're playing games sometimes, or it's just hard to, I guess it's just hard to be entertaining sometimes when you're playing games, because there's also things where you just have to know what to talk about, or you have to find some way to engage the audience for long periods of time.
yeah, I think it can be challenging. Lots, from the outside looking in, sometimes you'll see these people, playing video games and doing, these that kind of content, and they'll be like, easy, play a video game, talk a load of bollocks, it's easy peasy. When really it's a bit more challenging, as you say, a bit more challenging than you think, because at first I was awful at it, but for the most part I just kind of ran my mouth on whatever came to mind, and I guess that's like part of it in a way. But as you come up with ideas of what you're going to say, you kind of have to like filter out stuff, I guess, as you go in real time. It can be a bit more like mentally draining than you think. But I think it's just something that you get used to with practice. Not everyone's good at it unless they've had previous practice elsewhere in some sort of speaking manner. Like, to be able to come on and know the things you need to say and know the tones you need to have and do all that is very unlikely that you're going to get it right from the very get-go. So,
Well, right, and sometimes the editing process can save a lot of that shit too. So that's like another
oh
that's
yes,
a big thing. Because oh god, I have a friend, my buddy Will. He does let's plays, and they have to edit down like 20 minutes, 30 minutes sometimes off of those things, like just for good content.
yeah, just so that you don't get like random tangents, or just if someone's bad at a particular part of the video game and they're just kind of like, oh, hang on, I gotta try again. Oh god, this is like the 50th time now.
Well, it's like
Yeah, no,
or dead air. That's the worst thing of all. Is just no conversation, just playing the game for long periods.
yeah, that's very dependent on what is actually going on. I'd say a lot of the time dead air is not great, but it depends. if there's like a section that's like tense, then that makes sense because
Right, yeah.
maybe yeah, and depending on whether you use face cam or not will also make dead air not too bad because there might be like something you're doing, but you're not like saying anything, but they can see that you're engaged or something's happening.
Right, yeah, because I remember like the one time years ago I tried to do a Let's Play. I think it was Mega Man X2. X2.
Nice.
I tried playing that, and I got 2 videos out of it, and I was the smart child who thought I'll use this emulation software's recording functionality to do this
Oh,
instead of trying my own thing, and it worked kind of for like 10 minutes, and then I tried to play more of it, and it started fucking up really badly.
oh no.
Yeah, no, I didn't have OBS or any of that kind of stuff at the time. And also, I don't even think I knew what that was when I was like 15. So I just
Oh,
thought,
back in the
I just
well,
thought,
how long ago was that? Like,
oh, that was like, that was like 6 years ago.
oh
Or not
dang, all
six, or
right.
not
So what?
six. That was like 9 years ago.
9 years. Okay, so
Yeah.
what would be good back then? That would be everyone would be using unregistered Hypercam 2. Um, and would DXtorian Fraps a thing back then? I
Yeah,
don't know. I don't remember.
Fraps was the thing I remember at the time.
Yeah, yeah, that was a good one to get.
I don't even know
Um,
if that still exists. I don't if people still use Fraps anymore. So I
I
think
use OBS for everything, so
Yeah, I think everyone primarily uses OBS or things like that nowadays. I wonder if you could even still get unregistered hypercam. Like if that's even still a possibility.
I think they use Hypercam 3 now. Like I feel like they released Hypercam 2 as like a freeware thing now.
Hmm.
Last I checked, I haven't checked in a long time.
Well, it's like finding videos that still use unregistered hypercam is like an anomaly nowadays because so many videos from like 12 years ago are gone. Like so many
Hmm.
like the older YouTube gets, the more I've always noticed that like much older content doesn't exist anymore, or a lot of it is gone. Like 2006, 2007 era stuff. Like it's
I
it's
wonder if
it's
it has anything to do with like terms of use changes or something like that. Like
it's
maybe it violates guidelines they've implemented later.
yeah, like
Maybe.
stuff like that, or maybe the person deleted their channel, or I don't know, combination
Yeah.
of things. Because I remember back in the day, you could watch like whole episodes of TV shows on YouTube. Back when I was
Oh
like,
yeah.
yeah, no, back when I was like 13, I could watch like full episodes of Digimon on YouTube, like the whole thing. Like nobody cared as much back then.
Well, I think it was because there was a real lack of like streaming services back then. Like you couldn't really pay for being able to buy things digitally as readily available as they are now. So I guess back then it wasn't like, how else are you going to do it unless you watch it on TV at that point or buy the DVD, I guess.
But yeah, no, it was so much easier to just watch content like TV shows, or hell, even people would used to put cam rips on YouTube of like movies. I remember that
Oh,
was
yeah.
very prominent back in like the late 2000s, early 2010s.
I
And
mean, if
now
we're
you
talking about like early Let's Play and unregistered Hypercam 2,
yeah.
even today, I will still occasionally come across a brand new video, like, of let's say 2020, for example. Someone still decides, instead of getting all of these readily available free screen recorders, to put their phone or their webcam in front of the screen instead. Why?
Oh god. I remember back in the day, like when PewDiePie exploded, there were tons of people that just they wouldn't use any of that. They would just record
Yeah.
their TV screen. I remember
Yeah.
so many people would
Oh,
do that.
oh, the worst.
Usually,
And yet I still find people that do it.
Usually it's like teenagers when I've seen them do that, like 13-year-olds or things like that.
Yeah, they're not like savvy to what you need.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
no. When I was 13, I was dumb. I didn't know what OBS or any of that stuff was. I knew what Hypercam was cuz I saw it so much on YouTube, but
Mm.
I didn't know what like actual like professional screen recorder stuff was. I figured you had to pay like hundreds of dollars to do stuff like that as a kid. Or it's like James Rolfe's setup, like stuff like that, like paying probably like thousands of dollars for the amount of stuff he's done over the last like decade.
Blows my mind that he keeps like all of the raw footage of everything he's recorded ever just stacked away on hard drives.
Yeah. No, it's I've seen him do videos like in the last couple years where he'll like go through stuff on his computer and he's like, "Hey, look, here's all the stuff I recorded in like 2007 all in one folder." I'm like, how much storage do you have on that computer to keep that much stuff in on it?
I just remember seeing a video or something. He said like that he can sometimes sell like footage or like just because I don't know, stock footage, I guess. And he just like shows a pile of like hard drives, like probably terabytes and terabytes of just footage.
Anyway, I guess back on the content. I guess when with streaming, I guess cuz I know you stream every week
Mhm.
basically. And
Yes.
I guess is that with the same thing with doing Let's Plays, is there ever this worry that you're not going to be able to engage people when you do that kind of stuff? Especially when you have like a live audience there.
Oh, I mean, yeah. It is. There are certain like pros and cons, like versus recorded and live stuff. In terms of like the recorded stuff, if you mess up or say something that you flub or there's like dead air or something, edit that out, save it in editing.
Right, yeah.
Live stream, can't do that.
Yeah.
So if you mess up or something happens and there's all kinds of technical issues, stuff like that, it can be hard, especially in a live setting where if something like derails that like moment, I guess that can be very demoralizing in terms of just like, well, everything's gone scuffed now, like I don't know what to do. But the plus side is if you have a just like a active chat, and your active could be, you have maybe two or three people that are really adamant at talking to you, or like a group of people. The back and forth makes things easier because that way you have something to respond to and to talk about. And at least I think my own experiences with it, and something I tell people sometimes in terms of like, they ask me, oh, how do you keep it engaging, I guess, is that the practice from the Let's Plays does help, because in those I'm just talking to myself, like talking to an audience that will hear it later. So the idea of going into a live stream and just being able to like talk isn't too foreign to me. And again, it's where I say I feel like practicing it just kind of helps. So many people are worried that they're not going to get it right from the get-go, and honestly, you might not. You probably won't. But the keeping at it really helps.
Yeah, because I streamed my first interview, like the first podcast I ever actually streamed was about a month ago, and I had always been adamant because I was just worried of my brain always goes to like the worst possible thing happening a lot of the time with that kind of stuff. Because I always think like, oh, what if there's a technical fuck up, or what if their connection dies, or what if I just think of all the worst possible things that can happen at one time. And I think it's the biggest worry is just again things just constantly going wrong more than anything, which thankfully it went well with the first streamed episode. I guess it's also I've known people who when they're told like they're gonna be on stream, they're just like, I don't know if I want to do that, because I know you have to watch yourself. That's the other thing when you stream.
Yes.
That's the other thing, is sometimes if you get too heated or too in the moment, you might say something you don't want to say, or you might not think about what you're saying.
Oh yes.
Especially if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, yeah. If you're like used to certain ways of communication, let's say, outside of public areas, and then you accidentally slip into that, I suppose.
Oh yeah, no, I can get very, very angry playing games. So there's always been like, if I ever streamed a game, it'd have to be something where I know I wouldn't get angry at it. Because I've had shit where I can be very, very intimidating when I'm angry. And I don't like, it's that thing where I'm like, I don't want to play a game and people are watching me and then I genuinely start sounding scary. Like when I'm getting angry at it.
And I mean, if it like anger specifically, the worry there would be that you start like reacting to people talking to you in a bad way. So you're channeling it to the only thing that you're interacting with, which is like the chat, and you don't want to do that.
Yeah, no, you start taking it out on the audience.
Yeah, exactly.
Or the worst thing is you start getting angry and that one person in the audience starts to fuck with you. Like that kind of
yeah,
like
it's
they know you're mad and they know like, hey, if I say something, he'll probably cuss me out on air or something like that. Like,
just don't die. Get good, forehead. I told you to get good.
I'm sorry, I'm not that good at Kirby. Shut up. Kirby's Adventure is kicking my ass, man. I guess with what is it that made you want to start doing Pixelated Memories, your review series? Was it the same thing or was that something else?
That was more inspiration from other content creators I had befriended over the years. Seeing them and their work kind of influenced me and inspired me to be like, well, I wanted to like do my own thing, because originally I had a series on my gameplay channel, MegaGWolf. I had a series called the G View. Similar, it sounds like review, but it's G View. And it was just an excuse for me to talk about like current games I'd been playing, or like to try my hand at that review style. And it was ultimately a very let's say budget version of what Pixelated Memories is. Even like the early episodes, which aren't as edited or up to my standards now anyway, as my more recent stuff. But comparatively, like the G View was a lot more basic. And it was my throwing the hat in the ring, you could say, because back then, for a while, I was actually part of Channel Awesome. Do you know Channel Awesome?
Yeah.
I have been a part of that back in the day, and I was part of their site Blistered Thumbs.
Yeah.
And so I was doing reviews for that, and it lasted a while, like a handful of years, but I slowed down on it, and ultimately when Blistered Thumbs got shut down, I was let go with them as well. And I looked at that, and I'd seen other channels that had been going on at the time. I can't come to mind if there was any in particular right now that were like specifically the ones where I'm like, yeah, let's go for it. But I wanted to make something talking about nostalgic games, like games of my childhood and stories about that and why these games meant a lot to me. And I said, okay, well, I've got a lot of this experience now editing, because I've done like years of it at the time. And I want a project or something to be able to completely focus on making a higher quality edited video. Basically, I was doing like your peanut butter gamers, your pro Jareds, and the like. but in reverse. Like they started with the reviews first and then did the gameplay afterwards, but I'm doing it the other way around. And I was just like, okay, well, I don't want to have too much going on the gameplay channel. So because if they liked pixelated memories, for example, and they subbed for that, I don't want there to be like a month's worth of just other videos flooding their inbox while they're waiting for the one that they're
Right.
interested in. So
Yeah.
I made a separate channel. And so I started doing stuff on there, just using my years of experience to try my best at making something entertaining.
Right. Yeah. And I guess with blistered thumbs, I guess what was the major I never really knew a lot about blistered thumbs outside of the people that were involved in it, because a lot of people that were involved in it didn't really talk about it that much. Like, because I know there were
Mm,
a lot of the normal boots people there, and I think Angry Joe was a part of it. It was all the game
hmm.
people. And
Yes.
what I guess what was that whole experience like with blistered thumbs?
I would say kinda hands off. They I got access to be able to post on the site and set up my videos as needed, and they just kind of did it. They just went up, and I didn't have much more contact with a lot of people unless I specifically went out of my way to try and reach out to someone or needed help or support from some of the managers or the like higher ups. Can't necessarily say any of them are managers, but you know they're those kind of manager figures, let's say. Because for the most part, anytime I needed any help, my friend who also posted on the site, Chaos D1, he helped me when I needed it because he'd had a bit of practice with it. He'd been on there a bit longer than me, and so he helped me if ever I needed it. So yeah, it was kind of a hands-off experience, which could have been why I kind of trailed off, didn't feel as involved as other people, but whatever. It's one of those things, experience that and move on, pretty much.
So I guess it's also just interesting because, well, I guess in the past couple years with everything that's been going on with Channel Awesome, it's just one of those things of I find it interesting because I've never heard the perspective of what blistered thumbs was like, and I think even when all that Channel Awesome stuff was coming out, there wasn't really a lot of perspective on what that side of Channel Awesome was like.
Yeah, it was more of just like most people went to, that guy with the glasses for the nostalgia critic, and then some of the other things, some of the other people that were there, they started doing their own thing, and Blistered Thumbs was just kind of like the side thing, uh, which I guess is why they were able to just be like, all right, well, enough of this, off it goes. It again, yeah, there wasn't much involvement as far as I know. It just kind of it was a WordPress site, I think. One of the premium ones you can get, so it's like all customizable and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
It's been a long time since I've had any interaction with WordPress stuff, so I'm trying to remember. But it was, I had access to a lot of things, but I shouldn't touch anything. It was the idea, but like I had access to be able to set up my video, and it goes, and that's kind of it. And then there was just a hub for gaming specific stuff. All the other things like movie reviews and stuff, that was all still reserved for the normal website. Blistered
Right.
Thumbs was just primarily for the gaming side of things.
Right, yeah. Actually, speaking of that, it was funny because I actually went back. Me and some friends were going back to the Nostalgia Critic specials a few months ago. I was actually curious because when we were watching To Boldly Flee, you appear very briefly, very, very
Yes, I
briefly.
do.
At one, at one, like in the last 10 minutes of that 3.5 hour, might have been 4. I don't even remember.
Yeah, it's a long one.
Yeah. So was that just they just asked you to be in it like briefly at the end, or like what was that?
It was basically just they more released like a open invitation of like their content creators to be like, hey, if you weren't in the thing, we have a section of the movie which they will, want people to send in stuff to be able to respond to. contradictions, the plot hole. I think it was that they
Yeah.
wanted to do something or something like that. I don't remember.
Yeah.
And that was my hat in the ring. You said that was me throwing in my bit. Why do they call it football when it's primarily played with your hands? Haha. And yeah, that was just a clip. I was like, is this good? And they were like, yeah. I think that was like I was in direct contact with Rob, which I think is Doug's brother.
Yeah.
I think that was I sent it to them, and that was it. And next I knew, I was in there as a little, I suppose, little Easter egg now, a little special guest. No, I don't think many people actually like know I'm in that or like bring it up anyway, because I don't really talk about it much, to be fair.
I mean, to be fair, most people don't talk about it.
Oh, well, yeah, especially now. But I mean, even then, like before all that happened, it never really came up.
Well, yeah, because it was funny because I got into your stuff like a year or two ago, and we were just watching To Boldly Flee, and we got really bored of it and just skipped like 2.5 hours in, and we just skipped to the last like 15 minutes. We just got so bored of it, we skipped to like the last 15 minutes, and I just laughed because you showed up. I was like, oh shit! Like just like the ending thing with all the people just talking about plot holes and shit, like just randomly you were thrown in there. I was like, oh shit, that's weird. Like I just didn't expect...
What he doing there?
I just didn't expect that to happen, because I think it was also just the case of I just didn't see them acknowledge a lot of the Blistered Thumbs people very often, so that was just kind of the other thing I thought was weird.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of people on that kind of part of it, Blistered Thumbs specifically, that I feel weren't as involved because of it being more of a side thing.
Yeah, because a lot of the people on Blistered Thumbs like already had successful channels or things like that. Like I think again, a lot of the Normal Boots people were there, so they already had like their own thing going on. I think Guru Larry was there.
Yep.
Like, yeah, they all just kind of had their own thing going on. Like it was basically just an area to put their stuff up, like a side thing, pretty much.
Larry, I think, was part of the main site area as well, because he did more than just. He did other things, I think.
Yeah, I think eventually he became part of the main group, if I remember.
Yeah, he was one of the last people as every content creator was leaving. He was tweeting like, "I'm winning the battle royale."
He's still there, as far as I know. I think he's still like one of the only 3 left on the entire.
Oh, I have
site.
no idea.
That whole era of just era of YouTube in general is just really weird looking back on it, especially now with everything that's been going on with that whole Channel Awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's funny how I like have in my mind in terms of like YouTube and what my involvement with things in YouTube are, how it can all be like kind of segmented into categories, I guess.
Yeah.
It's and that one is the whole Channel Awesome one is a learning experience. That's what I titled that one, a learning experience.
It's like that timeline like arc chart where like it has just different little segments of like, this is the dark period of time. This is
the dark ages.
The dark. This
is when the Fire Nation attacked. Like,
but I guess with your series Pixelated Memories, is there ever been a video that you've wanted to make or something where you thought there'd be a lot of material and there ended up just not being enough to really work with for like a full video?
Yes, there have been a few scenarios which I can look back and be like, how did I talk about this for 15 minutes? Or at least from my mindset back then. I feel like there are 2 episodes, for example, that I want to redo, actually. I want to like remake them with my more like how can I word this? Advanced mind. As in, like, I've had a bit more experience in being
big
able to
brain.
like present it properly. Yeah, my
Big
big brain,
big
exactly.
brain.
Um, one of them is the Dynamite Heady episode.
Mm.
I feel like I could present that game in a much better light and like and talk about my experiences with it growing up in a much better way. And Tyrion 2000. Now that video is like 9 minutes long.
Mm.
And it's just a video where you shoot things as a ship, and I'm very surprised I got any kind of content out of it. But at the same time, I feel like I could do a lot better with it now because I didn't even really talk about how it was the reason why I like shmups and games like that, and what I like in games now, and being able to compare it to games that I've played now. So there are episodes where I feel like I could redo them much better, in terms of like when the content isn't there, as you say, or like I find it harder to work with the content. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But
did that answer the question?
yeah. But was there ever something you really like? Was there ever one game where you like, I can do this, and like you were halfway through making it, or like you were even in the early stage, and you were just like, there's not a lot to work with here. Like, just like, was there ever like anything like that?
I was thinking like I haven't had many episodes in which I've not finished them or like seen it through in some manner, but no, there was. What I've only ever done this once, where I've actually started something and halfway through been like, I don't think I can do this right now. Like it was a video on. It was going to be on the Strike game, so like Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, and Urban Strike.
Yeah.
Which, have you heard of those?
I've heard of Jungle Strike. I don't think I've heard of the other two.
So Desert Strike was the first one, Jungle the second, Urban the third, and games for the Mega Drive Genesis. They were isometric shooters, I guess. You would basically control a helicopter, and you would fly around and do missions. You'd have to worry about things like your fuel and your ammo, and do these objectives in a certain order, or else certain things won't happen. Stuff like that. The second one expanded upon it by allowing you to get into different vehicles. Like one of them was like a hovercraft, the other was like a stealth plane. There were a lot of stuff, and at the time, I wasn't prepared, I guess, to try and make video on it. And yeah, about halfway through me talking about Desert Strike, I didn't even get to the other two. And like, I feel like looking back, had I gone through with it more and like dedicated to it more, I probably would have been okay. But yeah, that was the only episode that's ever been abandoned.
Well, again, was it like they were just too similar and there just wasn't a lot to talk about, or like what was the?
Yeah, they really are, because I mean that is a very formulaic game. You go in, you shoot some stuff, you do the objective, you move on. Really, the only thing that I'd be able to talk about is maybe how the different vehicles react in the second one, and like the different levels. That's kind of it. That's all they've got.
See, I find it crazy when people can make like 15, 20-minute videos on like NES games, or just one. Like just one game. Like the Nerds video on Paperboy is like one of the ones where I go, I think that video is like 16 minutes long, and I don't know how you could even do that with a game that simple. Like or
fluff.
Just one singular game.
Yeah, it's all like, I guess it depends on how detailed you are explaining stuff, how much you're on screen, if you're doing any skits for it. I could see you being able to stretch it out if you really tried.
It's funny going back on like really old videos from him, because there's some that are like 6 minutes. Like it's yeah, like there's some from like 2007 that are like 6-7 minutes long. I think there's a couple that are like 4 minutes. Like from the
I blame
days.
Current YouTube algorithms for that. In terms of like, hey, make your video over 10 minutes long and you can get end card ads and mid-roll ads, extra money.
Yeah.
So everyone was like dragging out their content. Now they only have to do it to 8 minutes though. So
Yeah, no, it's crazy how much YouTube has changed like the way content is done now. Just with having to stretch things out, or just with like even just down to the content you make in general. Like
yeah, you got to weigh up the options of like, do I want long form content, like an hour long, or do I do shorter stuff, or how frequently do I upload? It's a nightmare to try and think of all of it.
Right, and sometimes it does, and it's weird because sometimes it can work well for people, and sometimes it backfires horribly. I remember talking to a friend of mine a few months ago, where we were like, it's crazy to me when a big YouTuber can actually go off and do something completely different, and it still does well, like completely different content.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
I remember like because Markiplier would just do Let's Plays for a long time, and like even like 7-8 years ago, he would do like a sketch every so often, or he would do things that had nothing to do with games, and they'd still do well. Like he could do small unrelated things, and they'd still do well, like as good as his other content.
I mean, his most viewed video on that channel is him like putting his mouth on cats and going meow.
Yeah, like
I mean, I feel like that's because of who he is, I guess, now especially. But like when people ask me about like what they can do for their channel, I said I'll often say it depends on you and what you want out of the channel, and kind of it's up to you how successful you want it to be. And the way I explain that is you can have two types of channels, and in terms of like, if you're just boiling it down to the two types, you can have variety channels or focus channels. Now, focus channels are just, you pick your thing and you do your thing. You can have kind of variety within that thing, but it mostly revolves around that thing.
Right.
For example, I feel like I could do, if I'm talking personally, I can do much better if I were to focus on Sonic or focus on Dragon Ball Z. Like those two are big audiences that I've kind of gotten a foot in a way because of just what I have interests in. Like I like Sonic stuff and I like Dragon Ball Z stuff. Or you can be variety. Now I will say like variety is much more interesting in my opinion because you will always have like new things and it won't get stale, and you can always try different ideas. The problem is you then have to convince people to stay for you specifically. Like right. If you have a focus channel, you have that like nice middle ground where they're here for you, but they're also because they enjoy you doing the thing that you're focusing on. And then you can like over a period of time, like building up an audience around that, you could like slowly go into variety if you wanted, for example. The thing with doing variety is that it's genuinely very hard to take off from that. From what I've seen, I mean, I'm going purely by my outside looking in experiences and conversations and stuff I've had with other people. It's harder because you have to convince people to stay for your own personality, and that's difficult. And it's not a I'm not down talking people that try to do variety and saying that just because they don't make it, their personality clearly isn't good enough. That's not the case. It's just it's harder to get recognized or to get the word out there if you are 1 minute you're doing this, 1 minute you're doing that. It's harder because the audiences are like split around. So unless you have something particularly really stand out about you to be able to get people to be like, look at this guy reacting this way, oh my god. Like Markiplier, for example, he has that voice going for him, and some of his earlier videos where he has like these ridiculous reactions to stuff, and then of course his like compassionate side in terms of like the charity stuff and the his connection with its audience back then, and that that's a very standout personality. and makes sense that he would like explode in that variety sense. And so people came for him and not necessarily what he was playing. But yeah, that's my take on that.
Right, yeah. Because, I mean, I guess it also helps if you already have, like, an ingrown audience. Like, if you already have, like, a large enough audience, it can help if you want to try to branch out. But I've seen people where it's just, they try to do something new and it just dies. Like,
yes.
It's like, it's just people don't want that content even with a large audience.
I feel like when that happens to people, it's usually a lack of communication or a lack of easing into it. It'll that at least that's my assumption, because a lot of the time, you know, especially if it comes out of nowhere, you're just like, wow, I really like watching this person for their, you know, high energy let's play series. Oh, he's become an ASMR channel now. What? Like, it's I don't know. Could you imagine? That's a bit of a turn there.
I mean, that'd be a hell of a leap. It'd be, the funny thing is that would probably create a whole new crowd for that person, but the problem is they'd lose a lot of their other crowd if they did that.
Yeah, exactly. Like, whoa, what happened? Next thing, you know, first he was yelling about, you know, being wrongly accused in Among Us, and now he's cutting my hair and ASMR.
Dude, ASMR Let's Plays. Dude, has that been attempted? Has that been attempted? Now I'm curious.
Yes, technically it has. Markiplier, actually. Because he did the world's quietest Let's Play, which it basically is an ASMR Let's Play.
I would love someone to like play a rage game and like make it an ASMR Let's Play. Like a game you're supposed to get mad at, and see if they can commit to just keeping it like that.
Let's just bring back I Want to Be the Guy. There we go. Yes. Let's do
that. Or what was the game? Was it literally just called like the hardest game in the world? Like that game with like the square that like bounces on like the tiles or something like that, like to the music.
Oh, that was like the Impossible Game or something, right?
Game. That's what it was.
Yeah.
It's like
I remember that.
Play that and do that like whispering the entire time or something of that nature.
I don't recall what games Mark actually played when
I know he played that one.
World's Quietest Let's Play 1 was Happy Wheels.
Oh, well, that wouldn't make you mad. Like, that wouldn't... Unless it's a person that made the game intentionally being a dick. Like the course they made.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, okay, so the first two ones were Happy Wheels. The third was Turbo Dismount. But yeah, if you... Oh, there's a fourth... Well, there was more than I thought. Oh, and then he played Iron Bread. Oh my god.
Oh my god, he did play one rage game. Okay, now I am curious with that.
Oh, and Getting Over It with Bennett Foddy. Okay. I'm just gonna throw my hat in the ring in there. That game is utter garbage. I hate Getting Over It. It's so bad. I would actually rage.
I mean, to be fair, isn't that also a game that's like intentionally shitty or something?
Yeah, but like I've played games that are meant to be intentionally frustrating that aren't like shit. But that game is just bad. Like I feel like it's bad to a point where it loses the like I don't know, what would you say, the
entertainment value? I don't know.
Yeah, well even then, like, you know, there's some funny ha-has in terms of like you fell down, but it's just bad. I can compare it to another one of those types of games that I've been playing, not necessarily voluntarily, but I've been playing it recently. It's one called Jump King. Jump King is a game where you jump. It's a completely vertical based, and it's all about you pressing the button and committing to a jump. Depending on how long you press the button will depend on how far the jump goes. And you get no meter to tell you how much like power you're going to use. It's all about muscle memory of how long you press the button down. And some of the jumps in that game are so precise. And if you fail one jump, you will fall down multiple screens. And they've designed it in such a way where you will go down really far if you fuck up really badly. And even then, I will take that game 10 times over anything like Getting Over It. Like, because that's like, that's rage inducing, punishing, but all the mechanics are solid. I play Getting Over It. I know what I'm doing with the mouse, and this guy on the screen in this cauldron is I hate it. I absolutely hate it.
I remember like there was like this big secret with the game, like if you didn't beat it, or if you did beat it, like the reward for beating it, and it's really, really lame.
Oh, yeah, because he requests that if you're recording, you don't show people.
Yeah, no, and people have obviously recorded it, but
of course.
Yeah, no, it's I mean, I guess I don't want to say it if people don't know, because I think it works better with the joke of how shitty the prize is if people don't know.
Oh, yeah, okay, fair enough. I don't know what it is. I never bought, like, in my head, I'm like, I don't want to look this up just on the off chance, just in case I decide to ever go back. Don't think I ever will, but I'm at least leaving that door open.
Yeah, I could tell you after the thing if you want to know. So, like, I do know what it is because I've had a couple friends that have beaten it. So, and I just remember when they beat it, they're like, "Really? That's what I waited. That's what I've wasted my time for. Was this?" It's basically it's a kind of bragging rights, but it's a really lame bragging right. Like at the same time, it's basically just an excuse to say I beat Bennett Foddy. Here's my proof. I did. Like look at what it gave me.
Oh God, is it a certificate you can print out?
No.
That'd be amazing. Put it on your fridge.
Oh, I would. That would be great. I think that'd be that'd be the perfect fuck you, in my opinion. That'd be a perfect fuck you of a reward.
I beat Getting Over It, and all I got was the shitty certificate.
A piece of paper that intentionally uses up like all the ink in your printer. Like it's
my God, yes. It's a certificate, but it's all inverted. So like the white bits would be black, and it's all like, oh my God. I'd hate that. No.
But I guess another interesting thing is because you've done a lot of Sonic Hack videos both on stream and you've Let's Played, and also you've done Sonic Hack videos on Pixelated Memories, and you had someone make you a Sonic Hack.
Yes.
They made a game specifically for you.
Yes, I've had the honor and pleasure of being involved in quite a few projects in terms of that. Sometimes unknowingly, like I'll cameo in one. For example, there's this one called, what is it called? Damn it, I don't remember. But it's basically like an easy adventure or something. It's this ROM hack which is just a bunch of like challenging jumping things, I guess. You have to know the physics of Sonic, and one of the parts of it is just it's the main game still, but they've just put in the little diamonds from Sonic 1 special stages that you have to like run into and get rid of.
Yeah.
And behind them is just my face unamused because I hate those things. So many people use them in the wrong way. But it was just a random cameo by me that I didn't even know about until I played the game. I was like, oh. But yeah, that ROM that you're talking about in particular is Sonic Eggs on Toast edition. And funnily enough, I made a good friend now through that ROM hack, actually. Yeah, Ant Dude, yeah. Because he's like, oh, John the Anti-Toast. And everyone in the comments is like, well, actually. But that ROM hack was made by a friend of mine called Sinasu, and he has been one of my early watchers from long ago, transcended into a friendship, and I've met up with him at conventions. I've gone to eat with him in London before, and he one day surprised me with that ROM hack. The idea was that originally it was just going to be the rings were replaced with eggs on toast, which in itself is an in-joke where that was an emote I used to have on my Twitch, and it was almost like a little branding thing at the time because one of my most famous moments back in the day was me streaming Cooking Mama. And I could do these missions where these 20-step mini games, and you get your gold medals, all these fancy things. Egg on toast. 3 steps there were. Somehow, always failed them. Don't know how. Became a meme at that point. So eggs on toast was like, this man can make mountains of food, delicious, amazing meals. Eggs on toast? Nah, you're fucked, mate. Yeah, he can't do that. Somehow he keeps messing up the flipping of the egg or something. I don't remember what part of it was. But it was funny. So we made an emote out of it, and from there, he was just going to replace the rings with eggs on toast, and then it kind of became a bit more than that.
So what? I actually am curious. What's the ending joke? Because it's something about like Nash.
Oh,
goes. Yeah. What's the context of the ending joke of the game?
So Action Nash. That was it's kind of connected to my Channel Awesome roots. And the friends that I made through that, one of the times later down the line, I can't remember if that was, I think that was after I was let go from Blistered Thumbs, but me, Chaos D1, as I mentioned earlier, Nash, and this other content creator called Hope Within Chaos, I think is their name. We started playing an MMO. We actually started playing the Star Wars one. The Old Republic.
Yeah.
And we streamed it. We were streaming it, and we basically all like stream at the same time, our different perspectives. And so we kind of became friends through that. And it was just a picture that was taken at a convention of Nash doing, I think it was like a Nerf gun thing, and anytime one of the darts hit you in your body parts, you have to pretend that you don't have the use of that body part anymore. So it was just a pose that someone took a picture of where he I think one of his arms was hit and one of his legs was hit, and he like had this pose, and I jokingly said, "Oh, it looks like the kind of pose that you'd have like an explosion in the background, and it'd be like Action Man," but instead we made it Action Nash. And it became this like big thing, and I did a whole Photoshop of it, and it just became an in joke. And like we imagined, like, what is the song? Ghost Love Score. There's that dun 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 dun. Yeah, that one. And that's what we imagined in the background, which then turned into the first overlay that Sinisu, dude, he helps me a lot. He programs my stream overlay, and the first overlay we ever had was an Action Nash one. And well, I don't think it was the first. It might have been like the second or third, but it was one of the early ones, and it just became this big inside thing to the point where technically it's still referenced when anyone ever subs to my Twitch channel. You hear Ghost Love Score go off with a big explosion, and it's like has subscribed. Dun, 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 dun. And so that was just a good way to end that ROM hack, was a reference to that.
And actually, with the Antu thing, did someone like tell you about that, or like did you find out about it yourself, like when he had talked about it?
So he uploaded the video, and I don't know how YouTube works in this regard, but someone somehow managed to tag me in it, and it sent me a notification on YouTube or something. I don't remember how or why it came through or what they did, but somehow I found it just randomly. And I'm like, who's this? What? Why am I being tagged in this? And then, it got to the point I'm like, oh. And I don't remember how we got in contact. I think it might have been me just leaving a comment, and then like he messaged me on Twitter or something, and then we traded Discord info, and then I cameoed in the next one, and then from there we've just kind of been basically content creation buddies, occasionally talking, and when something is going on. Usually the hacking contest, or we'll occasionally get in a call and hang out and play ROM hacks and stuff.
I just always think back to it was me. I was the anti-toast.
I was the anti-toast.
That line always makes me laugh, and I don't know why. It's just...
White streak speeds by. Yep. Oh God. You did not believe what, since that video and since he's been getting more and more popular, at least once a week I get called John the Anti-Toast. Like, at least once a week. It was really bad during like a peak. If you'd asked me a handful of months ago, I was almost getting it every day.
Oh God.
Yeah. But
I remember I'm that anime SpongeBob video that came out not too long ago. The guy who made it is making a dub, and I'm in the dub. And the day that dub trailer went up on my Saberspark episode, I had like 5 people say, "Hey, it's Mr. Krabs." I had like 5 people message me that or just comment on the video. Like, nothing about the video itself. Just say, "Hey, it's a guy who does anime, Mr. Krabs." So, like, yeah, I think it's cool that people acknowledged it and the video was getting attention because of that. But I was like, pay attention to the video, man.
Like, yeah, you probably came in, said it, and didn't even watch.
Yeah. But anyway, I gotta say thank you so much for doing this.
Oh yeah, that's lots of fun.
Is there anything you want to plug? Anything at all?
I mean, you've done a pretty good job of just telling everyone what I do anyway. I mean, I don't have anything specific. Yeah, no, not really.
Well,
I mean,
you stream, don't you? I think you like have.
Yes, I stream MegaGWolf Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 p.m. BST or GMT, depending on daylight savings, for 3 hours. I do whatever. Like, I have no, like, I'm not like a specific, like, say, a focus channel. I do whatever.